Today we are creating the Bee, my high quality marketing drone on a budget. I'm using the B25 Cinewhoop 2.5-inch frame, so there's not a lot of room, but I think it's the perfect balance between speed, stability, able to go outside, move around, come inside, and still have the control that I need to get the shots, the cinematics, and I can still have a 4K high quality camera attached to this thing. And I really think it's going to be the best of both worlds. And really, it would cost me over $1,000 to just buy this thing outright. I'm going to build it myself, put all the components together for less than $600. Today, we're going to unbox everything, and I'm going to show you guys how we're going to do that. Here we go. A quick look at the overview of what we have today is that SpeedyBee frame, an all-in-one flight controller, an ESC board, a video system by Walksnail Moonlight, which is exciting because it's very different, those 3800 kilovolt motors, as well as the ELRS radio master system, so that way we can control things, and the batteries to power, and with obviously a charger. So we'll also get into the goggles and other components and how we're going to use all this and put it together. The frame that I'm unboxing right now typically supports a DJI O3 Air unit, which is the alternative to that Walksnail Moonlight video camera system that I was talking about. That's important because we'll have to do a little bit of adjusting. But overall, this is super light. It's only 70 grams. It's meant to mount that all-in-one flight controller that we have. And really, I think this is going to be a great platform to launch the rest of the drone from. If you notice from the original list that I had there, the motors were listed in red because they didn't show up. It was some 1404 motors by T Hobby, and it's okay. They are an industry standard, but they're essentially the same thing as what I've flopped it out for, which is these 1404 FPV. They're brushless motors, that 3800 kilovolt. They're 3S or 4S, which means that they're compatible with the battery type that we got. We have 4S batteries, which works very nice with our flight controller and obviously very well with our motors. These don't have a ton of draw. Their continuous current is 11.8 amps. And well, that's good because we have some pretty beefy batteries. And so since they don't have a ton of draw, but they're very efficient, we should get some pretty long run times around these. I've already had to make two adjustments to my original design and what I picked out to build this drone with, which is okay because it displays the advantage of actually building your own custom Cinewhoop or something like this. It's that we can move around all of these parts as we need to. If things get damaged, if things become outdated, there is no component on here that we can't flop out for an upgrade or for a replacement part, and that gives us a lot of variability. It also allows us to experiment so we can hopefully design from start to finish, including the frame, including everything, our own drone build. Next up is this all-in-one flight controller by SpeedyBee. That's an advantage because it obviously is built to go with the SpeedyBee frame. It wasn't the one I originally wanted to go with, but it's an advantage because of the simplicity of it. It is a stack, which means that is an ESC, which is the electronic systems controls, as well as the flight controller. And so it has two boards in one stacked on top of each other. This is good because it saves on size and weight. This is bad because of that exact same reason I was talking about variability. If things are broken or if things need to be changed, this is a coupled unit. And so if it goes down, then it's a little bit more expensive and it's harder to flop out. The entire thing is 13.6 grams, which is incredibly low. Great news for us. It has the ability to work with a gyro. And if you've never seen a gyro work, it's like tracking head movements. So we could physically look around. The flashing, the firmware is all open source. It's all BlueJay. The protocols are very standard with DShot 300 and 600. It's Bluetooth compatible, which means we can do things in the field, and it works well with our video, our Walksnail Moonlight kit. And so really this was the perfect decision. I'm very excited about this next one because it moves away from what the industry standard is, which is the DJI O3 Air unit. This is the Walksnail Moonlight kit. It offers 4K high-res 60 frames per second video with onboard adjustments, which is an onboard EIS or an electronic image stabilization. So super high quality images. It's called the Starlight version. It has a sensor that really adjusts for lighting on the fly as well. You just don't really see that kind of camera quality. You usually have to do that post and editing. It'll save us a lot of time on the back end. It's got a 160-degree FOV camera lens with 150 megabit per second bit rate. The quality that this thing is shooting out without having to do any editing is honestly astounding, and I'm very excited. Supposedly, the only real problem with it is that it has a tendency to overheat, which is why DJI is still the safer option, but it still has all of the things that we love, like micro SD card slot and gyro flow. The opportunity that is coupled with just how great this camera is the fact that it's not compatible with the frame. That gives us the complete control and opportunity to create our own mounting system and hopefully a universal mounting system which will prop up its position in the marketplace as a competitor for the DJI series. It may be a small component, but this is one of the most important pieces of the build. It's our ELRS receiver for our Radio Master system that allows us to obviously control the drone. This thing is great because it's 2.4 gigahertz. It receives a refresh rate of 500 hertz at 25 hertz, which means it's incredibly powerful. And the range of this thing is 5 to 10 kilometers, which when I read that, I couldn't believe it. I thought it was an error. Unfortunately, per regulations, we can only go to line of sight, but there are ways around that. Everything obviously needs power, so I went ahead and chose some beefier batteries. They're actually 85 grams a pop, that's wires included, but they're 650 milliamps, 4-cell, which is that 4S that I mentioned earlier, rated batteries. It works incredibly well with our systems. They are heavy, but they give us a lot of power and a lot of time in the air. Here is the controller that goes with that ELRS receiver, which is the Radio Master Pocket Edition. Pocket radio, meaning that it is pretty conveniently sized. It folds up. The little joysticks there, they go into the bottom, so nothing snags, and it's super easy to carry around. USB-C charging, batteries last a long time. Really, it was just kind of an easy option, but it also made so much sense that it was hard to go with anything else. We needed an adapter for our DC batteries so we could charge from any outlet, especially when we're on the fly and needing to charge one while using one. This charges from any outlet at 2.5 amps, which is kind of slow, but it does our 4S or our 4-cell batteries that we have in the corner there. And it also does it slow enough where it may help us prevent overheating. These batteries are a lithium polymer as opposed to a lithium ion like we're all so used to, which means that they are incredibly durable, but they have the tendency to be a little bit more unstable and have that overheating element. And we obviously don't want these to explode, especially while they're in use or 400 feet in the air. These are our Moonlight Avatar Goggles L, which is a generation from the past, but is incredibly cheaper than the new ones. And they work perfect with our VTX or our camera system there by Walksnail, that Moonlight kit. This allows us to see in 1080p while we're flying around from the camera and also record market quality 4K at the same time. This gives us the first person view of what our drone is seeing and what our cinematics and our shots are going to be like. On the fly, we can adjust while in the air and make sure that we're getting the quality and not wasting a ton of time. It also gives us the ability to maneuver and get some really cool shots like, circling things. And I'm really excited for what I can show you with these. Like I said, they shoot in 60 frames, but visually I'll also be able to see in 60 frames. My old drones were analog, so the quality would have been terrible while I was viewing it. And then when you were editing, you would have been able to see the high quality 4K. This just helps us do things and make sure we're getting the shots that we need as we're taking them. It's 920 by 1080 pixels with a 4.5-inch display and a built-in micro SD card slot. All of that just means that we have great visuals and the ability to store things and adjust as we need in the field with great equipment quality. At this point, I have already built this thing. I've soldered it together. I've made the adjustments that I needed to for the components that didn't fit. Even gotten some more components that needed along the way. I thought I was prepared
learned a lot along the way, and I was most definitely not as prepared as I thought. So there were some rather big adjustments that needed to be made and some problems, and the way that it ended up, although there were bumps along the way, I am excited because this is the beginning of so many things I've wanted for this company and the direction that it's headed. And I'm very excited at the opportunities that are about to happen as a result of the next video that you guys are going to see, putting this thing together, getting it to work. I'm very excited for you guys to follow along. And please, if you guys have questions about like how I did this, I mean, it's a $1,200 to $1,400 drone, and the entire thing cost $593.67, apart from the goggles, because the goggles can attach to any drones. So that's kind of separate. But regardless, if you guys have questions, if you guys want to get a community going, please reach out. I will make that for you and answer any question. I love this stuff. So please, all of my socials, my email, let's have some fun, and I am very excited for you guys to see the next video.